Hi, this is Daniel Lanois, and I've just accepted a question from Nick Farr. He's from Middleton, MA. Is that Maine, USA? Massachusetts? Thank you. Thank you. And Nick asks, what's one aspect of your recording setup methods that would surprise people who think they know your work really well? For example, you're generally perceived as an analog purist who works extensively with vintage gear. But is there any digital modeling gear lurking about in your collection that gets used regularly? That's a good question, Nick. And the short of it is we use, obviously, analog technology because we are flesh and bone. We play instruments, and some of our equipment is regarded to be analog in the sense that it's a physical piece. So if you turn around, Wayne, I'll show Nick. This is a BCM10 Neve, which gets used as mic preamps and sometimes as a submixer. This is my giant 8068, which is obviously a battleship analog piece. But if you look over here, this is a digital recorder. It's a radar. It's a nice company out of Canada, and we've been associated with them for a good while, and they do beautiful things. Obviously, some of my sound processing, sampling, and all that is all digital, and so it's a little bit simplistic to think that somebody's either digital or analog. I don't think it's that way. I mean, most people are mixing up the two, and if we could use a photographic term as an analogy, we don't throw away our nice old lenses. If we've got a nice look on something, we keep that lens and we bring it out of the bag if it needs to be brought up. So I hope that tells you something, but check out this other rig I've got going here. This is the secondary studio with a secondary radar. Goodbye to Language, which is the record we're talking about right now, was ultimately mixed on this little BCM10 because we didn't have a lot of tracks to deal with. So we didn't need a lot of channels. And there's something nice about the layout of this ergonomically. As you can see, my fingers can reach all 10 faders. So there's something nice about just having access to all my controls in one position, so I don't have to get a chair to roll down to the other end of the console. So, and some of this stuff here in the rack is stuff from the 70s, 80s, and I've used all along. Still use my AMS harmonizer. Great digital machine with a great VCO. VCO is a voltage control oscillator. That's the sound that turns a voice to da. That's a voltage control oscillator. And I hope that answers your question, Nick, and thanks a lot for taking an interest in my work. This is a question from Alana, who asks, she's from Portugal Cove, NL. What's NL?
Newfoundland.
Is it Newfoundland? All these abbreviations. So if that's true, that's from Canada. And Alana asks, has your inspiration for creating changed over time? If so, what do you think helped develop this change? And what are some current sources of inspiration? Yes, I think it's fair to say that interests and tastes change over the years. I've noticed that in people that I work with, people I've admired, and we continue to work together. We don't repeat what we've done before. We move on to some new ideas and approaches that are exciting to us. I decided on Goodbye to Language, which is a record that we're releasing in a few days on Anti Records in Los Angeles, decided that we would follow what felt the most natural at this time. And for me to sit down at my first love, my pedal steel guitar, and to have my mate Rocco DeLuca next to me on his steel guitar, it was something very, very homecoming and warm about that. And we started playing, and in the absence of any kind of schedule or pressure to make a record, we played beautifully, and we had some nice performances for me to work with. I then went in and edited out some of the redundant content, and then shrunk the arrangements down to a reasonable size. And then I went on and did all my studio processing on top of that, sampling and so on. So this is the approach that this is what I'm most excited about right now. And I'm very pleased that we have a record that represents that passion and that approach. This time next year, Alana, we will probably be onto something else. This is a beautiful instrumental record. It pushes the boundaries of familiar territory, and I really I stand by it. This time next year, we might be doing like a straight to the charts with pop songs up the wazoo. So, all right, Alana, thank you very much for your question. And I'm answering a question from Todd N. from Maryland. And Todd asks, will you ever work with Black Dub in a recording or live capacity again? Black Dub is a band that I put together a few years ago, and we had a lot of fun, a very soulful gathering. Trixie Whitley was fronting the band, a great singer and artist. Brian Blade on the drums, and it all went really well, except that the label went out of business and everybody kind of scattered and went on to do other things. And so I love all those people, and I'm sure we'll do more work together. I don't know when that will happen, but it's always in the back of my mind to invite my mates to be involved with whatever it is I'm doing. The record we're currently promoting is called Goodbye to Language on Anti Records, Los Angeles, is an instrumental record, and I'm very excited about this work because I need to do instrumental records as a buffer or to segue into a vocal record, because it takes my mind away from conventional songwriting, and it allows me to pursue my passion as a sound specialist and manipulator, and it's a big part of what I do. I need to make my sound discoveries to make a proper sonic contribution to songs. So this Goodbye to Language record I made with my friend Rocco DeLuca means a lot to me, and I see it as a stepping stone to other works with Black Dub or otherwise.